Did I get drunk so you can't prove it? Nothing, man. Nothing. That sounds problematic. Hey, first of all, thanks so much for being here in the evening. We're trying to get all these in this week and start the new year, you know. And this is what, I guess, the third. I'm losing track how many of these have we've done the last couple of days. And there's always a bit different kind of environment. And this is obviously a fairly big meeting, and congratulations for that. Give yourselves a round of applause for being here. It always reminds me of a meeting we had here, Darren will remember, 3 years ago, Darren. And it was in like that part of the room, and there was like 30 people here, and that was the province of Alberta. There was 33 licensed people in the province of Alberta at that time. And it's amazing how much we've done in a short period of time. And I always hit those numbers. I know a lot of you guys have heard me speak before, but I'll hit some of those numbers. I came in the company of May of 2013, and there was about 200 licensed people from Ontario to British Columbia at that time. 200, Ontario to British Columbia. And in 2012, before I started, we did about $6 million in premium. Last year, we finished with over 1,200, and we did over $30 million in premium. So give yourselves a round of applause for that. That is an enormous deal in what we've done. And I remember Darren saying, he stood up, and Doug will remember this, and Darren, you'll remember it. And he said, Ray, because I came and started talking about recruiting. And then we have to recruit, we got to go build, and this is what we got to do to take market share. And Darren goes, you know what, Ray? Every year we do this meeting. Every year somebody talks about recruiting. And every year you come back, and he looked at Doug, he goes, Doug, how many reps we had? And Doug goes, I don't know, 30. And he goes, how many we had last year? 30. How many we had the year before? 30. But I think it's different now, yes?
Yes.
Because this is the only province that is getting 2 meetings, by the way. Because we were in Edmonton this morning, and we're here tonight. And there was about 80 to 100 people in Edmonton this morning. Guys, that's a huge shift inside, 3.5 years. Now, having said that, last year we did a 90-day Blitz. I think actually we were in this room. How many people were in that last March? Show of hands. Guys, keep them up for a second. Look how small of a group. And this is good because that's how this business is built. It's built by getting more and more new people to look at the possibility. You see, here's what I know to be true. This isn't for everybody. But if it's for you, it'll change your life. I just on a call with somebody outside who just got licensed with us in Vancouver. Derek knows her, Barb, very nice woman. And she goes, I'm so thankful I accidentally ended up in the insurance industry. Because she goes, there's no way I was ever going to do this. And I met her through another MLM I was in years ago, and Andrea followed up with her, and I followed up with her, and now she's here. And she's like, I'm so thankful I got here. Love this company. You get it? Now, this is a person that never would have considered this before. Just like me, as when I was running my gas stations, I didn't sit around going, I hope someday somebody recruits me to sell insurance. I just think that would be awesome. It's a weird fantasy. If you have that fantasy, don't tell anybody. You should keep it as a secret. And I know a lot of you guys know my story that hear me speak on the webinars and things like that. And I came in this industry purely by accident and circumstantial. I was having a rough day. I was an owner-operator of 5 gas stations, and there was a newspaper ad. Somebody didn't recruit me. I answered an ad that said, such and such companies looking for entrepreneurs. I go, I'm an entrepreneur. And I go in and I meet the guy. So I go to their opportunity meeting. You guys ever been to an opportunity meeting? You guys been to one of those? Well, the one I went to, this guy had this crappy office. It was like, 500 square feet. The ceiling was falling in, right? Half the lights didn't work. They're talking about how we're all going to be gazillionaires. I'm like, can you get a new ceiling? How about that? Let's start there. And there's like 7 people there counting me. And I found out at the end I was only guest. So pretty, amazing opportunity if you were knocking down the door, right? to get there. And the problem was it was over a pizza place. I was hungry the whole meeting. I was distracted the whole time thinking we'll get a pizza after. I mean, right? I mean, we fed you guys so you wouldn't be distracted. And it's wrong time we're taking a poop. It's all in how you look at these things, right?
Yes.
Anyways, I didn't join that night. And this is the first point. Because in a minute I'm going to go through that workbook with you. I didn't join that night. I joined, this was April. I ended up joining in the fall, and let me explain why. My life had to get about 8 months shittier than it was. It's honest. Most people won't do things until they have to. The example I used this morning, I go, it's the guy that waits to quit smoking when he's got lung cancer. Wasn't aware, apparently. You know, you get what I'm saying, though? And I don't want you to miss it. Because you're in this room, you've made a decision, but making a decision and taking action on it, two different things. You know, a lot of you guys make New Year's resolutions. I'm not a big fan of them, because I don't believe you can make a New Year's resolution any better on January 1st than December 15th. When you make a decision, you make a decision. It's what you do with the decision that matters. In my last book I had written, I have a statement that says there's no wrong decision in a commitment. The problem with most people, they'll decide or they'll commit, but they rarely do both. Do you understand? And the reason why we're doing this as a 90-day Blitz rollout is so I can help you understand how I got myself from bankrupt broke to financially independent in a very short period of time. And how that happened was I just learned how to be a complete junkie about my time. I don't mess around with time. You see, I knew our timing tonight, and I was able to do 3 calls and a webinar while Jerome and Mike were hosting the beginning of this. Now, I could have been sitting in here, but I'm doing this 5 times this week. I think I know what Mike and Jerome are going to say. Okay, I got that down. The poop joke's new. And I think you should lose that one, but whatever. But you guys get what I'm saying is that I want to utilize every minute that I'm going to have in my life, because when you die, you're going to regret what you didn't use wisely. See, when they survey people that are 70, 80, 90 years old and they're dying, and they ask them, what would you do differently? There's a couple things. Number one, the number one answer, do you guys know what it is? I would take more chances. Because at the end of your life, you realize it's the end of your life. And that's just the way it is. So when we start looking at what we're doing today, it's about starting a personal journey to change your life, your business, everything. When we look at what it costs to live in this world today, in Canada, in this province, it's ridiculous, isn't it? If you had a job today making $100,000 a year, you take home about 55-ish. So just around $5,000 a month. If your mortgage is $1,500, your heat, hydro, property tax $1,000, that's $2,500. Your car insurance, and so on takes you about $3,200. You're going to buy groceries, personal items, that's $4,200. Do you guys start to get why nobody has any money? Then you have things like insurance and debts, you know, your student loan, your line of credit, your credit card, all of those things. At $100 grand a year, you promise yourself broke. That's what you do. Now, I'm not trying to depress you. I'm trying to educate you as to why you need to do this. You need to do this. I'll tell you the number one cause of failure. You guys might want to write this down. It's the number one absolute cause of failure. People don't stay uncomfortable long enough to see the results of the discomfort. People don't stay uncomfortable long enough to see the results of the discomfort. Does that make sense? See, there's a lot of people that do something for a little while. And it's complicated, so they stop doing it. Make sense? So what I'm saying to you today, the only way you can take your life to the next level is to stay uncomfortable for as long as it takes. And we got a lot we're going to go through, but some of the things we want to talk about tonight is how to develop and maintain an organization. See, a lot of you came here, and although you never wanted to sell insurance, you now sell insurance. Wasn't necessarily your agenda when you came here. But the truth is, the real money is in building. But we have a recruiting crisis in my zone. Are you guys aware of this? You don't know about the recruiting crisis because you look around the room and you think it's building. I have 4 DLs that did 98% of every single recruit in my zone. Never mind that, they're probably 97% of every single recruit in Canada. Tony and Angie sitting in front of here, Mark and RJ, Derek back there, and Perry in Ontario. Those 4 DLs are responsible for almost 100% of the manpower growth of combined Canada. That's a crisis. It's a crisis. We recognize the top 10 at the convention. How many people were at the convention, by the way, in Orlando? Congratulations. Thank you for supporting us and being there. I hope you got a lot out of it. I think for those who were there, realized what I probably put in it. Put my heart and soul in that for you. You want to win so bad. Just thank you. The top 10 DL recruiters were recognized, and God love my daughter, and I do. She was number 10 with 9 recruits for the year. I would recruit 9 people a week when I was building my district. Now, there's other DLs that were higher than her, but they couldn't even come to the convention. That's a curious thing. And the great thing is, I'm never going to mess with somebody's DL, SL position. You get to keep it forever. I'm never going to roll you back. You're independent contractors. You get to do anything you want that's not impediment. That's the only rule I got. You break the law, I'm kind of out. You get it? And why am I sharing that with you is because we got to go into a frenzy of building, because Derek Chapman, who's sitting back there, that lives in Red Deer, Alberta, 3 years ago lived in Brandon, Manitoba. Very strategic move. That's a joke. Brandon looks like Red Deer, trust me. Okay, from my perspective of somebody who lives in Toronto. Okay, we have buildings. We have cars with engines. I know, Derek, you don't understand. But he also grew his income by $500,000 in 2 years. A $500,000 raise. And the biggest distinction I can make for you as a watcher is he went into a building phase instead of a maintenance selling phase. I heard a guy years ago say, the cure for a business that has sales in it is the new recruit. And he broke it down. It's very simple. He goes, if you're not excited, get a new recruit, because they'll be excited and so will you. If you're not winning trips, get a new recruit. You might win a trip. If you're not getting bonus, get a new recruit. More production will get you a bonus. If you don't love it anymore, get a new recruit and live through that enthusiasm. Do you understand? That's how it works. Because that's how it works. See, I don't just come in here, and Darren gave me, probably, Darren, you don't know it, it's probably one of my favorite compliments. He didn't really mean it, he was just having a conversation. We were in a pool in one of the company trips, and he goes, you know, the difference, Ray, with you and everybody else is you taught us how to recruit, you didn't tell us to recruit. That's a compliment, because that's what I pride myself in, is that I'm a motivational speaker, but I also want to teach you something. You know, I've heard a lot of great motivational speakers. There's this guy, Jimmy Meyer, in my previous business. And man, when he was done, you were really excited, but you had no clue what he told you to do. You're like, yeah! I felt really happy for him. And he was just one of those guys. I mean, he's Roman, no. I mean, he was just like that. But my point is here, guys, is we need to go to massive building phase in building organizations. But that leads to the most important thing I could teach anybody in this room. If I was going to sit with Angie and want to mentor her, I'd want to see her calendar always. She would be forced to share her calendar with me. Because the only thing I know I can fix for people is that. What do you do with your time? That's it. Every single person in this room, until you die, you get 168 hours a week. Every single person in this room gets that. Darren, you and I get 168 hours. Derek, you and I get 168 hours. Ange, you and I get 168 hours. Why is it some people change their life and become financially independent with their 168 and others suffer and fall back to mediocrity? It's what they do with their time. Period. It's what they do with their time. So for me, I use Gmail, I use Google Calendar, I like that. You use whatever you use. But my calendar, if you look at it, it looks like an art picture. Everything is color-coded. I said earlier to the group, yellow is Sydney, my time with my 8-year-old daughter. Dark blue is for meetings, live meetings. Green is for webinars. One-on-one, everything has a color, so in a minute I know what's supposed to be slotted in those times, Ange. It's not that there was anything in there yet. So Trent, next week my calendar is colored already. I just got to fill the names in. I got to fill in, is there a webinar there? I have my scheduled ones, but I also do ones all the time that aren't scheduled. Somebody will call me up and go, hey, Ray, can you do a webinar? And I go, yeah, I'll do webinars for this time, this time. Yeah, when's good for you in those times? That's how I live my life. Guys, that's what you guys start to understand. Everything in my life is scheduled. If you're going to go on a date with your partner, schedule it. And I always tell people that's not very romantic. Don't go on a date. See how romantic that is. I've been divorced twice. I can give you that advice all day long. I love when people go, hey man, can you give me some relationship advice? No, I need to give you divorce advice. You're the wrong guy there. Okay? But you understand what I'm saying. Guys, if you don't schedule it, it won't happen. You'll get dragged around, pulled around. Time management to be successful is the most important thing. You know, when we go through 90-day Blitz, what people get concerned about, Trent, is I'm asking you to put more time in. And everybody misunderstood me, Troy. I don't want more time from you. I want you to stop doing the shit that don't pay you. I don't want you to shovel your driveway or cut your grass or clean your house. That's $15 an hour jobs. I want you to hire somebody to do that, like Derek did when he got an assistant, when I couldn't believe he didn't have an assistant. I'm like, you want to do $15 an hour work when you could make $250 to $1,000? That's nuts to me. But here's the problem with that. You guys want to know what the problem is? You'll hire somebody to do those things, then you won't be in field. So all you do is create an expense. Do you get it? Now you get to watch more Netflix than you used to. That's the way it works. You know, my dad always gave me a hard time about two things. About cutting my grass, I wouldn't cut my grass, or clean my cars. I had somebody come to the house once a week and detail my cars. I was there one day, and I'm standing out front, and my dad pulls in, and he goes, you know, son, I love cleaning my car. I can't believe you have somebody do that. I go, Dad, you don't love to clean your car. You love your car clean. You just don't understand the difference. Right? Like, seriously. I just bought a new house, 102 acres, 7,000 square foot home. It's nice. It's like $3 million or whatever. And somebody goes, well, I wouldn't want to clean it. I go, neither would I, you idiot. You think I'm going to clean it? 7,000 square feet. I'm not going to do that. I don't even know if it has a vacuum in it. Right? Isn't it ridiculous? And somebody else, oh, my brother goes, well, who's going to cut the grass? Somebody else. And Trent, you're going to love it, man. I got tractors and all that crap. What are you going to do with a tractor? I don't know, man. I just wanted a tractor. I don't know. I'm going to dig a hole or something. I don't. What do you do with a tractor? I I don't know, man, but I got a track. And I got a farm and horses and all that crap. But I'm already hiring somebody to be a full-time houseman. I take care of that stuff. There'll be somebody on salary in one of my companies that will manage my home. You know what that includes? They go get our groceries. I don't do nothing. You know what I get to do when I'm done work? Ange, sit on the floor and play with my kid. That's what I get to do. See, so all you people who want to get rich and think you have to be a workaholic, you're confused. What you have to do is use your time wisely and invest your money in the places that give you freedom. That give you freedom. See, a guy said years ago, freedom isn't free. And I bought it. I believe it. I believe freedom isn't free. You just got to pay the price to get to it. You got to manage your time. During this time, you got to have a bunch of events. You guys got to start running home presentations, op nights, concentrated events. For those that were at the convention, we gave out decks of cards. The purpose of that was not to promote gambling. Okay, so that's clear. It was to get you guys to start having euchre tournaments. Euchre tournaments are like golfing, right? You go golfing, Tony and I go golfing, I got 4 hours to talk to him. Well, if it's me, it's 6 hours if you've ever seen me play golf. I get my money's worth because I swing the club way more than everybody else before I have a hope of hitting the ball. But the point is, it works the same way. You've got to build relationships with people. You've got to create a series of events. You know, I built my business by closing to the next event there. Every time I did a meeting like this, I would have a huddle with my team to talk about what's next. Are we got an op night, Ange, on Tuesday? Are we doing a Super Saturday? I'm sure Jerome talked about us going to do a tour over the next 120 days of Super Saturdays. I'm also going to do a PDP4 in Kananaskis in March, and it's going to be unusual because Derek, I want you there. Troy, Darren, I want you guys there because you've not seen my PDP4. I wrote it. It ain't like the one that used to be in the binder, Darren. It's all about management and leadership and how to communicate with your people. We're inviting mostly DLs that should have already done it, but I mean, Darren's been a DL since Earth. Sorry, man. But you got to understand that, right? Preparation. You know, I joke all the time. You guys know when I was here last March, I was really sick. I lost a lot of weight. Then I found it again. At the bottom of a bag of popcorn with some M&Ms in there too. I mean, you guys heard that earlier. Nothing like going to a movie and dropping a bag of M&Ms in your popcorn. You got to try this. It's amazing. Understand. And M&M's with kids, they're protein, it's healthy. My friend, right back there, Troy, I know we talked about this, right? Troy, best story ever. So we go to Vegas, and his friend, Troy, Darren, and I, and a bunch of partiers. We're not partiers. So we decide after whatever, dinner, we're going to go to a movie. But at dinner, I kind of tricked Troy into this. We're at this restaurant. They have this steak. It's not on the menu anymore. And I go, man, it's like a pot roast. And Troy goes, I can eat it. I know I can. I go, yeah, you eat it. I'll buy it. You eat it. It's like for 5 people. It's like this thick, this prime rib. He ate every bit of it in. So he's like in this meat coma walking through the strip. And Troy and I are built a little bit the same. He waddled though. And I did. So then we're going to a movie and I'm going, you guys want popcorn? Troy goes, yeah, man, I've got a popcorn. It was just funny, man. It was like a $96 steak and a heart attack. It was fun. You guys, we have fun and you get to have fun, but you've got to get a frenzy of activity. When you talk about preparation, the example is this. And I know this, right? I can give you divorce advice. I can also give you dieting advice. I've been on a lot of them. Only a few of you chubby people left. But guys, I always tell people, I go, the problem with dieting and trying to lose weight, it takes a lot of psychological effort or preparation. Because what people do, they'll look in the mirror on like a Thursday and go, I'm so fat. Going on a diet on Monday. You all laugh because you've all done it, right? And then Friday, you're going to have a bucket of KFC chicken. And Saturday, you're going to have 4 pizzas. And Sunday, it's all you can eat buffets all day. You gain 9 pounds. You go on a diet on Monday for the day. By Monday night, you've had enough. You get it? And you shouldn't prepare. You can't be successful at anything you don't prepare. You know, and business works the same way. Like normally, in a perfect world, I would have came here a month ago to do a 30-day kind of prep so you could go for it. Because there's a list of things that you shouldn't be doing. I nailed some of them, like cleaning your house and cleaning your car and cutting your grass and removing the snow from your driveway and all that crap. You shouldn't be doing that. You make too much money. It's really dumb. You know, you just shouldn't be doing that. And you need to understand that if you give those things up, you're not going to work more than you are now. Now you're going to work smarter. You ever heard the term, work smarter, not harder? I'm teaching you how that actually is. Didn't go, I have to be smarter. No, what you need to do is stop doing things that don't pay you equivalent to your ability to make money. You need to stop doing things that don't pay you equivalent to your ability to make money. Does that make sense? Okay, so that's where the preparation comes in. So today, you got to clear the deck, and here we use that term in a second. You got to get rid of all those distractions, all those things that are stealing your life. They're stealing your time, where if you just take 90 days to have a preventive activity, you won't have that problem. Pre-launch is where you start to enroll people in the idea that you're going to do something special for the next 90 days. This is where you talk to your spouse, your partner, your children, and all of those things. The first one I didn't mention this earlier, was when my daughters were 1, 3, and 5. It was the first time I did a 9-day Blitz. And there was a guy named Andy Young. He didn't call it what I did. He didn't write a workbook around it because, again, I want to teach you something. I don't want to just motivate you. But Andy was making, what, about $1 million a year, Jerome, I think. But he had 3 daughters, Aaron, so I immediately connected with him as a speaker. Again, he's got 3 daughters. He makes $1 million a year. I don't. I want to. His last name's Young. I could do that. It was a loose connection, but it was something. Anyways, he told a story that on his daughter's 10th birthday, he took them anywhere in the world they wanted to go, just them and him. And I'm like, man, what a great thing for a dad with a daughter. Because see, at 10 years old, I'm still my daughter's deal. At 12 and 13, I'm probably not. I'm a stupid boy. I sent my girls to an all-girls school, and they still got boyfriends. How the hell? True story. I had a client, I was telling them it was very expensive in this girls' school. They went to $30,000 a year, and Sydney actually starts next year. And if a woman goes, well, you know, if they go to all-girls school, they're going to be lesbians. I go, well, great, they won't get pregnant. I don't know. Why are people always looking for the cynical side of things? It's a true story. I'm like, what are you saying? No, they have boyfriends. Anyway, so I went home from that meeting, Darren. And Eponine was the only one old enough, she was 5 or 6 at the time, that understood. And I said, Eponine, when you turn 10, we'll go anywhere you want in the world. And she said, I'm going to go to Egypt. I guess they were studying it in school at the time. And on our 10th birthday, we went from Toronto to London, London to Cairo, Cairo to Luxor. Did a 4-day cruise down the Nile. Each one of those girls have a memory box I made for them when I came back. Photos, collectibles, but a letter from me of my experience with them. The best experience with Eponine was her sleeping on the plane with me during the red eye, and her little teeny arms wrapped around my arm for 8 hours. Broke people don't do that. You know when I made that promise to that little girl? I had no money. I had just gone through a bankruptcy, just started in this industry. It was financially irresponsible, Darren, for me to make that promise. That trip cost $14,000. But letting her down was not optional. was not optional. Cassie and I, we went Toronto to Venice, ported out of Venice to Turkey, Greece, Croatia on a 2 weeks Mediterranean cruise. She made me watch Cheaper by the Dozen 97 times. That's my memory of that horrible nightmare. Haley and I went to Fiji. We did about 30 Fijian islands. And her whole thing was about feeding the birds. All the birds that would come and fly around us at breakfast and lunch and all that stuff. Sydney's 8, so 2 years she gets to choose, and her sisters are manipulating it to be really expensive. Do all of Asia. What? An Asian tour. What? It's going to cost me $50,000. But guys, I had no right to make those promises when I made them. Or did I? Was I prepared, Ange, to do what's necessary for my family? I was. And you want to know a little secret there? I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know how to do it. I just knew I wasn't going to let that pretty little face there. Some of you guys know that story. Everything saved my life, if you want my personal opinion. You know, when I was going through that divorce and separation, I made their mother go back to work off mat leave 3 months into it so I could get a life insurance license. And stayed home with my kids. I became Mr. Mom. For 18 months, I took care of 3 kids in diapers. I know what it's like to be a mom, by the way. So I always did well helping women build this business because I understood. Men that go, well, my wife doesn't work. She stays home with the kids. Really swap it out, man. You know what work is. And it was one of those days, Ange. I was giving up, Darren. I know some of you guys have heard this story, but it fits for this group right now. And we do lunch. We always do something called Dance Hour. I gotta give you the datelines. We always listen to Green Day really loud. Right? And I got my Cassie was this chubby man. Do you guys know Cassie? She's like, what, 110 pounds, beautiful, brunette. I have pictures of her. She looks like Dawn King. She's got this chubby face, dark complexion, and her hair stood straight up. Right? And just the cutest thing ever. And she danced like this, right? So I still dance like that. That's the way you dance. You're white. And anyway, it was one of those days, and I just felt like such a loser. I couldn't support my family. I was 28 years old, about to move back in with my mom because we were going our separate ways. I was pawning stuff on a weekly basis to keep our hydro on. I mentioned to the group earlier this morning, my first 18 months in this industry, I made $200. If you're my friend, you tell me you're a loser and go get a real job. But see, I knew I was going to fix my life, you know? And I didn't care what the price was. It wasn't bigger than working for somebody for 40 years for money I couldn't live on, for a job I didn't like, so I could be disrespected most of my life by a jerk boss. Right? And there I was, and I don't know what happened that day. I had a breakdown. I literally fell to the floor and was bawling. Eponine would have been 4. And she put her arms around my neck. Changed that day. Everything. Got up and said, why are you being such an idiot? The day she was born, put in my arms, I looked at her pretty little face and said, I will do anything for you. And 4 years later, I'd forgotten that promise. Like that day. I remember. And I changed my life. I immersed myself in what it took to be successful. I read, I listened, I learned, I got uncomfortable, I prospected, I called every person I know, I gave everybody a chance to laugh at me, make fun of me, tell me no, tell me I joined a cult, it was a scam, as a pyramid and brainwashing me. I let everybody say whatever they wanted because I just didn't care anymore. I was doing this for me and my family, and nothing was going to stop me from success. And that's where I want you to be at the end of this meeting tonight. I don't care what it takes, and I know it's going to be tough. And I know some days you're going to want to quit. Most days you're going to want to quit. Just don't. Don't quit on yourself. Don't do it. Don't let anybody be right about you. Show them. And guys, I'm telling you, man, by the time you actually do 20 hours of stories like that on this journey I've been on, I've been rich, I've been poor, I've been broke, and everything in between. But one thing I've never been is manipulated. I do what's right because it's the right thing to do 100% of the time. And if I screw up, I'm the first person to own it. I'm the first person to own it. And that's what we need to start to understand.